We've been begging and begging and begging the god of movies in charge of Nollywood to give us something we can't deny is really good before 2024 runs out. Something along the lines of modern-day classics like For Maria Ebon Pataki and Eyimofe. Looks like he or she finally picked up our call. With Difficulty Comes Ease tells the story of Zainab, a recently widowed young Muslim woman who must endure the suffocating atmosphere of her mother-in-law's house, where she is compelled to stay until the end of the compulsory mourning period. Weighed down by financial difficulties and a secret pregnancy, Zainab finds hope in a surprising friendship that helps her overcome her grief and rethink her goals for the future. Depending on who you ask, it might be hard to believe that With Difficulty Comes Ease is only writer-director Korede Azeez's second feature film. Much like It Blooms in June, her feature debut, Korede Azeez doubles down on addressing heavy subject matters here. There's a lot to unpack in this movie. A lot Azeez gets right, and it all starts with the story.
The story is great.
It is simple, yet profound, in many ways reflective of how everyday life unfolds for the average person. Zainab isn't a character with extraordinary qualities. She's like you and me, born into a regular family with its peculiar issues. She met a man, fell in love, and they got married despite their disapproving families. Then, unexpectedly, he died, and life took a different turn. Life must eventually go on for those still living, and Zainab has to find a way to get past her grief and pick up the pieces of her life. She intends to immortalize her late husband's legacy by continuing his fabric business, which comes with its own set of challenges, including confronting a chapter of her husband's life that reveals he had been struggling financially unbeknownst to her. In the middle of all this kata-kata enters fine boy Ryan. Ryan's arrival sparks an unlikely friendship with Zainab, slowly helping her through this dark time. By helping Zainab, Ryan deals with his own baggage, familiar troubles brought about by his decision to convert to Islam, and the forbidden romance welling up inside him. Don't be surprised by this last one. He's an Abuja man after all. The good. The story. The best thing about With Difficulty Comes Ease is how intelligently it brings forth its story. A Muslim narrative presented in a nuanced way that avoids all the cliches and stereotypes often associated with the religion. The story's progression makes sense, and the writing, dialogue, and acting all feel natural, a quality still not commonly achieved in Nollywood. It is a blessing to watch this film unfold. The performances. Uzoamaka Aniunoh is known for bringing her A-game to every role she plays, and Zainab here is no exception. When we first meet Zainab, her husband has just died. After what I assume is the janaza, she is clad in black and surrounded by other women who silently mourn with her. It's just the opening scene, but even then, you can see elements of what defines the rest of Uzoamaka's performance and that of the other actors, grounded and completely devoid of melodrama. In the silences, which this movie uses a lot and very well, the extent of Zainab's pain speaks volumes. Uzoamaka wears Zainab's grief like armor. There is no eccentricity, but it's prominent enough that the audience never once doubts the state of mind of the character. Caleb Richard, who plays Ryan, easily brings to life the character's soft-spoken nature and tenderness, pairing well with Uzoamaka on screen. You can see Baba is loving up, but Caleb does it with such sweet subtlety that you try not to jump to any conclusions until he finally lets his intentions known. Fear Abuja men, her baby hasn't even been born yet. Caleb, you. The writing. Ummi Baba-Ahmed, who plays Hajiya, Zainab's mother-in-law, does a good job with her role. But I would argue that director Korede Azeez, who also doubles as the writer, did an even better job of writing the character. With Hajiya, they avoid playing to the gallery of the commonly seen Nollywood trope of a widow being maltreated by her mother-in-law. It's more nuanced here. Everyone in the household feels the weight of woman's loss and reacts in ways that make sense to them. For Hajiya, that means shutting herself off further from expressing even a measured form of kindness to Zainab, especially in the absence of a grandchild she so craves. The bad. While I praise the writing and dialogue in most parts, there is a certain lack of restraint this movie suffers in balancing its desire to advocate for the Muslim faith with the level of serenity it had set up for its world. The scene where Zainab and Ryan sit and talk after the photo shoot illustrates this. After Zainab talks about how her family turned their backs on her father and her after they returned to Islam, Ryan delivers his own episode about how a lover jilted him 2 months before their wedding over the same matter. He goes on to tell us why he decided to convert to Islam, citing his upbringing with a few Muslim friends and how only recently he researched the religion and found it made sense.
She left when I became a Muslim. It's 2 months to the wedding.
Why did you decide to convert?
Curiosity. I had a few Muslim friends growing up, but it was only until recently that I decided to research the religion, and it made sense.
These backstories are insightful, helping us know the characters better as we juxtapose their journeys with real-world antecedents of Islamophobia. The problem is that the scene lacks the subtlety that had defined the movie up to this point. I suppose it is intentional, personal even, for the writer-director who may have been tapping from a deeply personal place for this scene, and I respect that. But the longer the scene goes on, it starts to lean more towards proselytization, diverging from the soft messaging that had defined the story up to this point. A little more tenderness here wouldn't have hurt. Another thing I didn't like about the movie is its ending. A special spoiler alert for whoever doesn't want this spoiled for them in a special way. For a movie with great pacing throughout its runtime, the last 5 minutes felt jarring and too cheesy for my liking. I understand the need to explicitly pay off the title with difficulty comes ease, which I think is perfect by the way, but the movie was already doing a great job at that. We were on the right path before suddenly jumping 3 years into the future. The ending we got felt too perfect, undercutting the authenticity of the ease reflected in the title. Really not a fan of it. In conclusion, With Difficulty Comes Ease is a good watch. Released in August 2024, it is easily one of the better films that have come out this year, which says a lot about the state of stories released almost every week. It does a good job of communicating the sides of Islam that are often shied away from in mainstream media. It also excels at making a statement about interfaith and intertribal marriages and the baggage that can come with them. The use of musical scores is amazing, and the use of silence even better. The film does its best not to sugarcoat things, including how frustrating the public system is in Nigeria and how difficult it can be to get anything done. Life and Nigeria can happen to anybody, anytime, and many people don't know where to pick up from when caught unawares, which is most often the case. There's just so much to like about With Difficulty Comes Ease, and it comes highly recommended. Go stream it on Prime Video now.